Hello.
Okay.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. Have you heard anything from Joe?
No.
Okay.
Let's see.
We'll give him 3 more minutes.
Okay.
We'll get started. All right, it's been 3 minutes.
Okay.
So we'll start with the Lord of the Flies.
Alrighty.
What's one example of task conflicts you observed?
Well, I think like anything between Ralph and Jack, like nothing that they decided on was similar. I guess like they have very different views and like of how to lead the group, and I also think that task and process conflict. When I looked up the definitions, they seemed like they could be like interchanged, like they're very similar. So I think that for both of those, we could say anything between like Jack and Ralph.
Okay. I thought that process conflict was a combination of relational and task conflict. So I'll double check myself on that.
Internet. Well, I guess task is like an understanding of the group's like task in general, and then process is like how they go about doing the actual task. So like the ways in which they do it. So I guess they're a little different, but I don't know. I kind of viewed them as similar, just in my opinion.
Okay. Like task is deciding on how to do it and process is actually doing it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And then obviously relational is just like one person versus another, like they don't agree. So that forms a conflict. And that also can be a conflict between Jack and Ralph. I don't know, also like Piggy, just because he's very different than everybody else, he didn't really mesh with anybody except like the twins and Ralph. So I guess that could be another thing. All right, explain the conflict. Let's see. So task conflict is a there is a disagreement. Would you agree on the examples I said, or do you have others?
Like the specific examples, like task is when Ralph and Jack disagree. Like those examples are the ones that you typed up.
Wait, hold on. When she says explain the conflict, oh, okay, so we don't actually have to give the definition.
Right. But we can just leave those there.
Okay, yeah.
So we
And
can
then we can just add the examples after them. Yes, sir.
that'll give us some substance to our answers as well. Is there a specific example that you can think of? Like I can think about for task when Jack and Ralph had different ideas about who should be watching the fire. But
Yeah,
do you have one other than that?
yeah, that one's good.
Okay.
And then I guess process could be uh,
The whole deal with the monster, did that cause process conflict?
like the cave thing.
Yeah.
Like what about it?
Like they there was never any like real investigation to see there actually was a monster. They were just like, oh, there is one. Let's just put this pig head here. And
Yeah, that works. Yep, I get that. Okay. Yeah, we could do that one. Like the beast or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really good. explain the characters who's involved, why you think their tasks. Yep, that's good. Cool. All right.
Okay.
Do you have the table?
I think that we just mentioned, like, we take these topics from up in the first question, and then we mention how they were handled using these words.
So from the Lord of the Flies.
Yeah. So like for task, if we say that the disagreement over Firewatch, how was that handled? Was it handled with avoidance, competition, accommodation?
Got it. Scratch that. I would confuse the corporation sometimes. All right.
So we'll do the first one. I'd say it was handled with avoidance, but that might be incorrect.
Let me read.
And then it moved on to competition.
Yeah, I would put that.
Can you explain to me your thought process on your answer?
Yeah. I think the only it's hard to figure out one for a relational conflict just because it's between two people and I don't know. I was thinking competition just because they were trying to do I wouldn't say they were trying to do better than him, but they were trying to they weren't listening to what he had to say. They were trying to I don't know, they were obviously not paying any attention to him and shutting his ideas down. And then they took his ideas. I don't know, would that be competition or because they weren't accepting anything he was saying, right?
Yeah, so that can be. I think that works better as avoidance, but even with these examples, there's not really one that really fits it that well.
Right.
What if we change our relational conflict example to like when the groups first split up and it's like Jack's team and Ralph's team?
Okay, yeah, that works. So like um, so I'm trying to think. Relational conflict is found when the boys pick sides
Yeah.
to follow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm reading it here. Yeah, I think so.
And so that would be an example of.
I think that would be competition.
Just because they're trying to pick, they won't accept the other side. All right, yeah. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes. Do you think that the process conflict, which is the beast situation, I think it's collaboration because they just agree and then they attempt to solve the problem and then they all go and kill Simon.
You said collaboration?
Yeah, I think so. It's not compromise. It's not avoidance. I don't think it's accommodation.
It could be accommodation because it says it's a conflict style describing a person's willingness to engage in conflict. However, she or he backs away from the conflict by giving in to appease the other party. I guess they really didn't really know there was anything until there really was.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I guess yeah, you could say collaboration.
I can say both. It doesn't have to be one specific one. You hear this cat?
What'd you say?
My cat is purring extremely loudly. Can you hear it?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's good.
I wonder what happened to Joe.
Yeah, I texted him and he didn't respond.
I'm gonna work on the next one.
Okay, thank you.
How old are they? Middle school again?
I think so. They're around 11. So yeah.
I know it's a long explanation. Did you read it or?
I'm reading it now. I can't tell if you think it's effective or ineffective.
Okay.
Like I know that your last 7 or 8 words tell you that. Maybe if you just started out with the fire situation was handled ineffectively.
Yours is good.
Thank you. I agree with yours as well. Your last one.
Cool.
And what you did to fix the other one worked well too. Okay, let's do the PMOPs discussion again. You still have access to the document.
Which one? Sorry.
The PMOPs application.
Yes. Do we need to? Oh yeah, I need to do that on that one.
Okay. Remember the prompt. Let me go back to it. So the table's on page 222. And that's what I used for the outline.
Are we just redoing this one?
Yeah.
I don't know. What was the prompt just to work on this outline?
Yeah. Yeah. And then we created an outline of their discussion.
Did you ever get their group ever email you back saying what was the actual?
No, I never got a reply.
That's annoying. I really need to know.
Okay. So they described the problem. The group read the prompt as a group. They decided that they have their only freedom is that they have to survive, and they are limited by the 12 items.
Yep. And you have to rank the items in order of importance.
Yeah.
All discipline crash. The goal is to survive and be rescued. The first little order of business was to prioritize like warmth over all of their stuff, and then they try to figure out what was best used to, or what they needed to use to stay warm and to build a shelter.
There's also discussion of, are clothes more important than fire? And they decided no.
And then I remember discussing the shelter being more important than fire, and they're like, I think it was like 1v4 or 1v3 on that one. Just one person said, I think um, shelter is more important than fire. And I was like, nope, I need the fire just because you need to see, and the fire will keep us warm to build the shelter. Um,
Um, did they ultimately decide that the chocolate was the least important? Or
yeah. They said that, from what I remember, they said that the chocolate was like towards the bottom, but it wasn't the last. Like I'm pretty sure where I have it as number 10 on our list is where they decided that it should go, just because they said eventually they're gonna need to want something to like help stimulate them, and they keep them motivated to survive. And they just said that the compass and the map weren't as important, just because what is an air map? Like how can no one can read that? And then the compass, like, I mean, you can't really. They just didn't really find it to be useful.
yeah. And then they say something like we have to be able to survive before we can even think about escaping.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I guess we just assume that they use the Google Doc to plan their 12 items.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that it?
I think we're fine. It's not perfect. It's not a whole meeting, but it'll work.
So I text Joe and be like, hey, buddy.
Yeah, I texted him at 3:05 and he didn't respond.
So this is our last meeting. We're not going to meet again.
Yeah, there's not any more meetings on the Moodle page. Cool.
All right.
I'm good if you're good.
I'm good.
All right, see ya.
Bye.